What makes a legend? How does a child living a hard life in a Durham community known as the Bottom go on to become the winningest football coach at not one, but two prominent football programs among HBCUs? If you ask Bill Hayes, he'll be glad to share his story. In fact, he's convinced that given the chance, any child can succeed, even through the biggest challenges. I'm Cameron Kent here at beautiful Maple Chase Golf and Country Club in Winston-Salem to share with you a fun and exciting golf opportunity and to introduce you to a man who's had a Hall of Fame career on the gridiron, but really deserves greater recognition for the continuing impact he's had on so many lives. During this video, you'll also hear from some of his former players who've gone on to create their own successes, as well as former Wake Forest head coach and two-time Super Bowl champion assistant coach Jim Caldwell and UNC Hall of Fame coach Mac Brown.
He and I were great friends.
So let's tee it off. Recently, I had the wonderful opportunity to sit down with my old friend Coach Hayes and hear his incredible story, find out what made him so successful and why he goes to such great lengths to help others. We are joined by a legend in North Carolina sports, my old friend Bill Hayes. Just listen to this, multi-sport star at Durham Hillside High School. Three-time All-America, center, linebacker at North Carolina Central. Head football coach at Winston-Salem State and North Carolina A&T for a combined 27 years. And a member of at least 10 different Halls of Fame. That's quite a resume. A lot more to coaching football though than just teaching blocking techniques and pass routes. Talk a little bit about your philosophy and the things you did to shape these men, not just on the football field, but away from the gridiron.
Well, I guess my philosophy probably goes back to my father. James Hayes, my dad, was an extremely hard-working guy. I mean, he worked at the American Tobacco Company in Durham, North Carolina, and he went to work at 6 in the morning to about 3 in the afternoon, and then 4 o'clock he was at the Elks Lodge in Durham. He was a janitor, the maitre d', the manager. He ran the Elks Lodge, everything. When he came home from his factory job, he picked me up, took me to the Elks Lodge with him, and I did a lot of different odd jobs at the Elks Club, including serving drinks. My dad had a stool behind the bar at the Elks Lodge, and I would get up on that stool and he taught me how to mix drinks. There was a dance on Saturday night and one on Friday night, and I worked those dances, So when I was in college playing football, my dad was short-handed. He didn't have enough help. So he would come by North Carolina Central after the game. He watched the game, wait around after the game, and come by the locker room. He would just simply say, "Are you going with me?" "Going with you? Where, Dad?" "I don't want to go to the Elks Lodge and work," but I never told him no. I just could not find it in my heart and my spirit to tell my dad no. Well, I had a chance to watch my older brothers and sisters in their trials and tribulations and the mistakes that they made, and I watched my mom go through her agony, and quite frankly, I watched her cry when my brother did some things that caused the family some grief. And I never forget, I promised her I would never do anything to make her cry. I would never do anything but work hard to try to be successful, to make her proud.
It is for a great cause and a great person, a great football coach, great man, great father, great husband, great leader of men. Anytime you get opportunity to come back and support Coach Hayes in this great vineyard and get the chance to play some golf, got to do it.
And who else would think of something like that, right? So just think about the type of human being you got to be to, throw a golf tournament that's going to benefit 3 different universities and 3 different programs. And he's able to do that because he's been there, he's done that, he's walked, those woods when that path wasn't quite blazed just yet, right? And so someone has to be the first, and he was the first, and I always admire him and love him.
Anything that's helping my alma mater, Winston-Salem, and helping HBCUs and the universities that Coach Hayes touched is always important. So I wanted to be a part of it.
It's like a family reunion. I was just telling Judge Fry that it was just great to see people, and Coach Hayes, to see him and the opportunity to come and give back to this newly established endowment would be great for all of these universities, Winston, A&T, North Carolina Central, and other colleges that they choose to give money to help a student achieve and start their route to success. So,
fear of failure was my greatest motivation. My entire life, fear of failure. Where I grew up, and they call it the bottom in Durham, probably 5 or 6 blocks from downtown, and growing up in the bottom with all the trappings of failures and all the things that I saw and grew up around, I never wanted to go back there. You know, going back there would have meant failure for me. I never forget when I got the head job at Winston-Salem State, and the coach before me had gone 1-10 2 years in a row. So I'm taking on a 1-10 team. And I'm saying, God, please don't let me fail. If I fail, I got to go back to the bottom. You know, I don't want to do that. You know, so my motivation was always to work extremely hard so that I wouldn't fail, because failure meant going back that way, and I certainly didn't want to do that. When I went to the 10th grade, left Whittier Junior High School, going to Hillside High School, I had my schedule already done, and I took it to the guidance counselor, gave it to her, and she looked at it. She said, why you sign up for algebra and chemistry? And I said, because I want to go to college. And she said, you can't take those classes, because kids from where you came from, they don't go to college. She said, you don't need to be in these classes. She said, I'm going to send you down to the auto mechanic shop with Mr. Cincinnati and let you take auto mechanics and you'll be fine. And I stayed in there for 2 years, which meant that I only took English and general math and just basic courses. I had no idea how intelligent I was, because I was never challenged. Coaches started coming by wanting me to come to their schools. But I had the wrong classes, because I had never had algebra and geometry. So when I signed the scholarship, I had probably 15 or 20 different scholarship offers. But I ran into trouble my freshman year, because all of a sudden I'm in chemistry and algebra, and I never had it before, because they denied me the opportunity to take those courses. And so I made 4 F's and a D my first semester, my freshman year. I was freshman of the year on the field. So coach called me in and he said, Bill, you know, you're a good player, and you know, you're gonna be a great player, but I'm afraid you're gonna have to go home. You got 4 F's and a D. And he said, to be eligible next year, you're gonna have to almost make the honor roll, second semester. Problem was, we had study hall, but study hall was in the library. And the prettiest girls in the world was in that daggone library. So every time I looked down and tried to look at my book, somebody would walk by and my head would leave the book, and I'm watching her all the way down. I'm saying, oh man, I'm failing two ways here. So what I did, I had to find a quiet place. I had to find a place that isolated me from everything. And so I talked to the janitor in the library, and I asked him, could I use his closet? And the janitor set me up a study room in his janitorial closet at North Carolina Central. He had a desk and a little lamp, and coach would take us in there. I would lead the team, and I would go in the closet. And I started going in that closet every day. For an hour and a half, I'd go in that closet at 1 o'clock, and I'd come out at 2:30 every day. And I made the honor roll. I went from 4 F's and a D to an honor roll student in a matter of a semester. It was all about concentration and challenge, you know, the challenge of having an opportunity to stay in school and continue my career on the football field, or going back to the bottom. And I wasn't about to go back to the bottom. My goal was really to be the head football coach at Durham Hillside High School. And so the superintendent hired me at Durham Hillside High School. And right after Christmas, they put everything in the newspaper in Durham Morning Herald that I'm the new football coach. So I go, on a Tuesday, I will never forget, I go to work that Tuesday morning. They got me on the front page of the Durham Morning Herald as the new coach at my high school. My lifetime dream. I go down in the gym and Coach Willie Bradshaw, the basketball coach, and I was having a cup of coffee, and the principal, John Lucas, comes in. And he says, "So you my new football coach?" I said, "Yes, sir, I'm the new coach." And he said, "Well, let me tell you this." He said, "I'm telling you right now that if you don't win at least 9 games next year, I'm gonna fire your ass." He said it just like that. Now, they hadn't won over 3 games in the last 3 years. And what he didn't know is I thought I was gonna win 11. I just looked at him and I knew it was over. After I went home that evening, I told my wife, "Pack our stuff. We out of here. I can't coach for him. He don't know who I am. He don't know I got a big motor and I'm gonna win 11, but he gonna tell me he gonna fire me if I don't win 9. The next morning was when I went to Wake Forest for an interview. Wednesday morning, I was in Coach Chuck Mills' office, and Mary Garber had recommended me, and Chuck hired me on the spot on a Wednesday morning. Asked me when could I be back to work. I said, "I'll be here Monday morning, ready to go." I went back home next morning at 7 o'clock. I was sitting in Mr. Lucas's office, waiting on him when he came to work. And I'm sitting there, and he said, "Yeah, what can I do for you?" I said, "I just wonder why you said what you said Tuesday morning." And he said, "What did I say?" And I reminded him of what he said to me. He said, "Oh, I was just kidding with you." I said, "No, you don't kid with my career. You don't kid like that." I said, "I'll never forget what you said. And I'm telling you now that you can find yourself another coach because I won't be here." Thank God he said what he said, because I might have got stuck at Durham Hillside High School, you know. But I made that move to Wake Forest, and I was extremely happy with the way Coach Mills ran things. Coach Mills was a California guy, you know, out where he didn't know a thing about the Deep South, nothing. But he was a great guy, and actually he was probably in the wrong place at the right time, because he just had no clue about how to function in North Carolina and in the South in 1973.
What were some of the struggles that you faced personally?
Every day was a struggle, but you know what I learned how to do? I learned how to act like I belong. I never allowed myself to act like the first black coach. You know, I acted like a football coach supposed to act, and I probably blazed trails that would never be noted, like going to Clemson for the first time to scout a game for Wake Forest. When I walked in there, I mean, I knew my job. I knew what to do. And I walked in there with all the confidence in the world. And so when I walked in that press box, people looked, "What the hell is going on?" I looked, right to my spot, lay out my stuff, get lined up, get ready. The kitchen staff, oh man, they had never seen a black man in that role before. And so there's a lot of service people there who were black, and they were so proud. You know, they were so proud to see me in my role, and I'm doing what I do. Those guys took great care of me. And no matter where I went, to Southern Mississippi, I went down to Ole Miss scouting back then in the 70s. So it was just so many things that happened to me that I could have let sway me or affect me one way or the other. I never did. I just acted like I was supposed to be doing this.
Besides all the victories, what are you most proud of in your coaching career?
I'm proud of all those faces that came under my supervision. You know, at night sometimes I just dream, and I can't remember names, but I can see all the faces. I can see 1,000 faces of guys who didn't have a chance, who I pushed and tugged and and drilled and drove, and they made it. They succeeded, and that's probably what I'm most proud of. When they over at Maple Chase Country Club last year, we had a dinner. 20 guys that I coached from A&T and 20 guys that I coached from Winston-Salem State met and did a dinner for me. And some of those guys who I didn't think had a snowball chance at hell at making it are doing tremendous. And the one that probably amazed me the most was James White from Elizabeth City, who was my fullback at A&T, who I mean, you're talking about crude, a great athlete, but just crude, just didn't understand, just seemed to be, but underneath that facade was the most brilliant person, one of the most I ever met. And James got up to speak, and I'm saying, wow. I didn't know. I mean, I couldn't have seen it. I had over 150 guys sign a pro contract, okay? And that's what I'm most proud of. So I signed Donald and Ronald Evans. And Ronald and Donald, they were freaking natures in terms of size and speed. So when Donald got drafted, all he had was some jeans and tennis shoes. And so I took him down to Miller's, down on Trade, and got him a suit of clothes and everything he was gonna need to go to LA to a press conference. He was their first draft choice. And I wasn't about to let Donald Evans go to the Los Angeles Rams press conference and what he had. Making what we made then, and it's embarrassing to think what these guys make now and what we made. We didn't make $50,000 back then, and you were just above labor wages coaching college football, and but you gave so much time. 16 hours was a normal day. The compensation for what you made, it didn't add up. And we didn't get all these perks that they get now. So, but when I heard about somebody getting $1 million to coach football, and I couldn't make $100,000 to save my life, all the money we gave back to those kids, when you think about the level of kids that we coached and where they came from, and a lot of them were inner city kids, and it didn't matter to me. Like I told me, I coach men, I don't coach skin. I didn't give a damn who was black or white. If he could, Hispanic, if he could play, I'm gonna coach him. We had a whole staff of coaches. We probably didn't make $500,000. Everybody in the state, including the trainers and everybody. You know what I mean? And so it was just. I came along 30 years too early. It's amazing. If I could go back and reincarnate myself, I'd wait till now to be born, because these coaches making some real money now.
You mentioned that you didn't think you could be a preacher, but I've been in enough locker rooms where I've heard some fire and brimstone at halftime. What were some of the more memorable, motivational speeches you gave when you were losing at halftime?
I remember one time we were losing 18-0, and I said, "That's okay." "That's okay. We're gonna take this loss. We're gonna take an 18-0 whipping." I said, "But I promise you one thing. When we get back tomorrow and we get out on that field Monday, I'm gonna make a mole man out of each one of you." I said, "Each one of you are gonna be about that big when I finish with your ass. We're gonna take you through the meal." I said, I'm gonna break you down, and I'm gonna strip you of everything. And when I turn you loose Monday evening after practice, you're gonna be about that tall. So now let's just go and take this whipping, and let's see what happens after Monday's practice. You're gonna pay for this loss." So the guys used to say, "Man, I can't believe that mole man speech." You know what I mean? That mole man speech at Fayetteville State that day. And I never forget one time we were going to the locker room, and I'm trying to think about how am I gonna get this done? How am I gonna bring us back? And a kid named Billy Diggs walked up to me. He said, "Wild Bill, do me a favor. Don't start that crying shit today here." Because I might cry, I might faint, whatever. I got to do something different every week. I got to do something to get their attention. You got to get their attention. That's the thing. You got to figure out a way when you're teaching, to get the class's attention, and you're coaching the football team, you got to get everybody's attention. So whatever it takes to get their attention, you got to do. So if it faint, or fall out in the floor, or kick the door in, you got to do something to get everybody to startle them for a minute to get their attention, and I knew how to do that. If you asked me how I did it, I couldn't tell you, but I did it, and in a lot of cases it worked. But sometimes, in the case of Billy Diggs, when he told me don't start crying, he said, "Don't start that crying shit today, Coach. We can't handle it."
I know hard work has been the cornerstone of your success from the time you were a child. Do you have an overarching philosophy of life for somebody who's in kindergarten to somebody who's graduating from college? What's the underpinnings of all of that?
Be first. Be first. And whatever you do, be first. That's my philosophy. That's what I'm going to try to do with my life. No matter what I'm up against, I'm going to try my best to be first. That means I'm going to beat you to work every day. I'm going to stay there longer than you stay. I'm going to get to the recruit's house before you get there. I'm going to be first at everything. I'm going to get on the field before the other coaches. I'm going to be the first coach out on the field. So my whole thing was be first. If I'm first in everything I set out to do, then I'm going to be successful. I'm going to beat you every time if I'm first. And so that's always been my philosophy. Simply be first.
Knowing what you know now, looking back on your early coaching career as a young man, anything you would do differently?
Wow. When I talk to kids now, they don't understand that when I was in 1961 to 65, when I went to college, if you were black in America, in the South, you could either be a preacher, you could be a teacher, a doctor, or a lawyer. That was it. It was no such thing as getting a job in business, communications, or all these things that, like this young lady, the kids are doing nowadays. And we couldn't do that. So I know I didn't want to be a preacher, and I didn't think I was smart enough to be a doctor or a lawyer. I love teaching, and I modeled myself after my high school coach, Russell Blunt. And I knew that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a physical education teacher, and naturally that made you be a coach. The old school coaches like myself, if we came through now, they put us in jail because we put so much pressure on kids, and our discipline was so strong. We had strong discipline, and we didn't tolerate a lot of what we see now. And so, what would I do differently? We wouldn't have changed a thing the way we did it then. Because kids that came up for us, they were right. I mean, if they stayed with us for 4 years, they were something special.
I just came up just to hug his neck. Right. I drove an hour and a half just to hug his neck and show my face here because he's done so much for myself and my family. That's who he is. He's a football guy, but he leads the nation in assists. He's been like the father that I never had, in all honesty. I've learned so much from him, professionally, just as a man. I'll be completely honest with you. It's not a day that goes by or a week that goes by that I don't reach out to him. We've had a lot of success at North Carolina Central in our program, but he's the silent consultant, right? Any problems or issues that I may have with kids and parents and just how to operate a program, I called him and he gave me the best sound advice. And he made me see it from different perspectives and different views.
Coach is the best. He's a Hall of Famer, got a stadium named after him. He and I were great friends 30 years ago when I got here, and we just had a bond, and when Coach asks you to do something, you have to do it. And plus, what a great day to honor all the coaches that have been in the HBCUs and all the teams and the kids. And we open up with Florida A&M, so it's even more special for us right now.
when Mac Brown brought me down to Chapel Hill to make me the honorary captain for the Florida A&M game, all I could think about was my dad when I was out on that field at the coin toss that night. Because my dad wanted to take me to Chapel Hill when I was like 6, 7 years old to a game, and or to Duke. But as you know, back in the 50s and black folk couldn't go to those games. And if they did, they sit in a little section called the Buzzer Roost that was probably big as an average room in a house for the whole community. And back in the corner of the stadium. And I'm thinking, when I'm out on that field at Chapel Hill a few weeks ago, I'm saying, man, Dad, can you see it? Can you believe this? As bad as you and I wanted to go to a game over here in Chapel Hill, just only 11 miles from where I was born, now I'm out here, I'm the captain, I'm the honorary captain. I hope you're watching, Dad. This is a great honor for me and you.
Well, it's always great to take part in something that's making a huge difference. I think particularly with the HBCUs in the area. Coach Hayes has always been one that has done so many great things for the community. And once again, he's lined up a great golf outing, a morning session, an afternoon. They had so many people, and we doubled up almost on each tee box. So great calls, and I hope we raise a lot of money because he's doing a tremendous job.
Maple Chase Golf and Country Club is honored to host the William Bill Hayes Annual Charity Golf Tournament. This event will take place on Friday, May 12th, here on their beautifully landscaped 18-hole championship golf course designed by one of North Carolina's most notable golf architects, Ellis Maples. Since its completion in 1955, the course has been challenging golfers of all abilities. The course was carved from 150 acres of farm pasture and woodlands and offers a variety of scenery, including numerous species of trees and beautiful lake views. We invite you to join us here at Maple Chase Golf and Country Club on May 12th for the second annual Bill Hayes Golf Tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun, and more importantly, you're helping to support the next generation of legends. On behalf of the Bill and Carolyn Hayes Scholarship and Endowment Foundation, I'm Cameron Kent. Thanks for watching.